episode 394. What's the date? Oh my gosh, September 28th, 2023. Big show today. I'm pumped up. World Championship show and special guest in studio. Let's bring on our guest. Stevan Micic just won 57 kilos. World title out in Serbia a couple weeks ago. And well, first of all, Stevan, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, Bader.
Yeah.
What's up, Tyler?
What's up, dude?
Yeah, and FloWrestling's own Tyler Meisinger wrestled at Michigan with Stevan, representing the M right now.
Oh, baby.
And from what I understand, you guys are not only teammates, but like close friends within that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we used to live with each other.
We were roommates my last year at Michigan. Me, Miles, Amin, and Tyler were the three of us were roommates.
And I won all the living room wrestling matches. So the second they start putting furniture on the mats, it's over for the world.
Is that right? Stevan, can we confirm this?
I don't know. I usually just try to stay away, but it was always usually Tyler and Miles going at it. I'm always like the guy that has no energy to wrestle like after like training. I'm always that guy, but Miles is used to it because he's got a brother and they're just always fighting each other. So like Tyler's always wants a piece of that, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I was the ref.
You're the ref. Right on. And actually, Tyler was out at Worlds last year, which was also in Serbia, and you guys stuck around like afterwards. You hung out in Serbia, in some other like exotic places, right?
Yeah, we went to Montenegro afterwards, which is like it used to be part altogether with Serbia. Yeah, it's a beautiful coast. We went to like an area called Budva. Beautiful beach town. There's a lot of exploring you can do around, and honestly, it was an amazing time. I'm glad Tyler came with us.
It was a sweet deal for me because Flo paid for my trip out to Serbia, and then Stevan's family already had an Airbnb, and they're like, I was like, I'll pitch in for the Airbnb, and they're like, no. Stevan's dad is someone who's just like, no, I will pay for everything for you, like always takes care of you. So I got kind of a free vacation out of it last year. It was pretty cool.
Yo, let's go. Let's hang out with your dad. Yeah, out in Montenegro.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome over, Vader. Come on.
Okay, next time I'm out in Montenegro, I'll hit you guys up. We'll do the dang thing.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, there's several things I want to talk about, and you can jump in anytime, Tyler, and take this any direction you want. But, maybe the last time you were on the show, it's been a minute, but, the plan was like it was 141 at Michigan because you're a tweener, right? And you're kind of stuck in 61. 57 is really hard, and it was like, at least the last time, the idea was like, all right, I just got to get big and go 65 because 57 is not going to work. I know that I don't know. When did you decide, nah, actually, let's rethink that?
So, yeah, that's a really good question. I remember last time we were on, it was like right when I was finishing my like exams, I think, when I finished at Michigan. And I was planning on going up to 65. It was actually a pretty difficult decision because I was like pretty bummed out being sick at the Olympics and then trying to rush up into 65 right after that. I'm thinking like, hey, like Serbia wants me at the Olympic weights, like let's go up. But, you already have a really short cycle of 3 years. Think about it right now. Paris is already less than a year away from now. So from that point on, we were like, hey, we got to get bigger. Well, going into the college season was an extremely difficult thing for me. Not because I didn't want to do it, but just on my own, and for the team, how it would have worked out was we just thought like going 41 would have been like the better answer for me in that situation, when it was probably the worst thing that I could have done, because not only am I have been used to making 57 kilograms, which is 125 and a half for the past 3 years in the freestyle circuit, or 3 years. I'm now trying to go up instead of 1 weight classes, but 2 weight classes, which is really hard. So that was, my body had never really even recovered fully from the 57 kilogram, weight that I had been with, like my strength. And so after that college season, we decided to give it a try at Europeans, and that didn't go great either. It was just like, I felt, I still didn't feel like myself yet. I felt like maybe like 70, 80% of my strength was back. And so after what ended up happening was we went to the Mediterranean Games, which there was only Olympic weights. I went 65 and I wrestled Abakarov there, and he like killed me. Like he just felt too big for me. And I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. Like I'm going to go 61. I don't care what Serbia has to say about it. And at that point, we like around that time though, I kind of had started to my body had started to get back to like, I had taken the time, body recovered. I feel like, hey, I'm myself again. I just need to figure out this weight situation. Well, then we ended up going to this training camp and in Bulgaria over the summer, and my weight just kind of like just from the training, just from what I had been doing, was just coming down so low again to what it was. But I felt strong. I felt like I was doing what I needed to do, was eating my food, the right foods and stuff. And it ended up like about a month and a half before the Worlds, they were like, hey, like, I know you're coming down, but your weight's in a really kind of a situation where you were making the weight when you were feeling good. Like, would you be down and try it again? And I was like, look, like, it's a federation. I'm willing to do stuff for them too, but I want to do well myself. Look, like, I haven't had to make that weight. I'll do it. Like, let's just do it. But like, look, I'm not going to be the one to blame you guys. This is on you guys if I'm not doing, how I'm supposed to do. And, we managed the weight. I had started working with a new strength trainer, one of my cousin's best friends from PT school, but he trains a lot of fighters out in Washington. His name's Dylan Lemery. So shout out DL Training Systems. He really helped me kind of get a plan together for my weight and my strength training to keep my explosion and power. And that ended up making the weight cut, and I felt really, really good getting down there. So once I made that weight, I was like, hey, I can always, every time I've made the first time of the year make the weight, I feel really good. It's just when I try to consistently stay down at that weight, I start getting injuries, getting sick, feeling bad. So it was sort of a thing where it's like, hey, let's spend about a month, getting my weight in order, rip the weight off. I'm used to the water loading. I'm used to the food, the portioning, the certain foods that I'm eating for, higher in fat and protein, cutting the carbs out, all that kind of stuff I'm pretty good at doing. So once I ended up winning a world medal, it was something to be like, hey, I was able to get my confidence back for myself. No, I'm right there to do it. Got the monkey off my back for the world medal and was like, hey, let's go into this Worlds again and actually focus on my wrestling now, because, if I don't have to be worrying about cutting weight and I can do what I did last year, I can just focus on beating the best guys and being my best self. So that was really the plan for me.
Yeah.
For 57.
Yeah. And maybe considering weight, right? Consider the NCAA season, or compare the NCAA season versus the international season, and the differences and what you like or don't like.
Yeah, and I know like the college season is just definitely more of a thing that kind of wears on your body a little bit. And if you aren't at the right weight class, like I wouldn't be able to have made 125 in college. There's no way, because just the amount of times you have to compete. But so 33 was always that weight for me, and it always just felt like super easy. Didn't have to really watch my weight or anything. I was always about 140 to 141, usually going down to 133 and being like, I had it down, nothing even stress over. So then when I started making 57 for Serbia, it was definitely something that I was still only competing at the weight class like 4 to 5 times a year. But, after year after year, after three different years of it, and then, catching mono before Tokyo, it's just something that I was pretty wiped out for. And I felt burnt out doing it until, we kind of refocused things again. Hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. This is a short cycle. We can do this again. So that's kind of how I felt with it. And, going from the college season to the freestyle season, which freestyle has always been my passion anyways, for anyone who's known me. I've never really been, I love folk style, but freestyle to me is like my passion and my everything for me. Like all my goals have never been really focused on an NCAA title. It's just been kind of like what takes to go on the path for me to get to a world title, to be a world champion and to be an Olympic champion. So, yeah. And I never did win an NCAA title. I was an NCAA runner-up and a Big Ten champion, but I'm thankful to wrestle in college for the stuff that I've done to build to get to where I am now. Is I'm glad I did it still, and that I wrestled in college.
Yeah, Tyler, do you remember when, or were you guys living together? I assume you knew him at the time when he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go wrestle for Serbia," and like, what was your like?
That was your freshman year, right, Tyler?
It would have been my freshman year of college.
So you're probably living in the dorms, and he was.
Yeah,
he was in
in
his
the
fifth
dorms.
year or something like that.
My first year at Michigan when I did it.
Stevan was already in his like 6th year, 5th year at Michigan. I was a freshman.
Yeah.
No, I just remember. I think when I got there, he was already planning on doing that.
Okay.
I actually have a funny story. I remember when I was in high school. I wasn't like super great at wrestling right away, like when I was younger. and I was like a walk-on at Michigan, right? And I remember looking at Flo's Instagram, they posted like a picture of all the junior world team members. It was the year Stevan was on the junior world team. And I remember being like, man, who is this guy? Like, he just seemed kind of I used a word with Stevan that I won't use on like the on the podcast, but like just I remember just being like, who is this guy? So I remember just having like an opinion about Stevan. Like, man, this guy seems like someone I wouldn't want to hang out with.
Give me the first letter of the word.
D. Yeah, like and so I'm just like, and then I remember going on my official to Michigan, and I thought he was at Northwestern. I wasn't like keeping up at the time, and I go to like a team dinner, and Stefan's just sitting there, and I'm like, man, how did this guy get over here? Like, and then lo and behold, he ended up becoming one of my best friends in Michigan. But it was kind of funny because he had this picture. Just the way Stevan used to post on Instagram, I just remember being like,
it was not great. It was very bad. So it was when Instagram was starting to try to like, you know, you try to look cool and stuff, but like then you use like the crazy filter colorways, and I just was like, out of this world. Like,
there's a picture burned in my memory of Stevan like leaning from behind a tree or something like that. You remember what I'm talking about?
It was kind of fire. It was kind of fire, like the thought of it, and then when you like actually see it, and you look still like pubescent doing it, it just looked messed up.
Oh, snap. So you were like, all right, you're gonna wrestle for Serbia.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought it was. I know that some people, like especially in the United States, have issues with it, but I always thought it was amazing. And if you know Stevan, you know how obsessed he is with Serbia. It was funny. I was after Stevan won in the semis at Worlds this year. I saw Sean Bourmet in the back halls, and he's like, man, I'm so pumped for Stevan. He's like in Serbia, and he puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, that guy, he loves the United States, but he loves Serbia. And I was like, like Stevan, if you know Stevan, you know how obsessed with Serbia, his culture he is. So if you know
I've got like my Serbian icons in the back of my family's. That's so ironic too. I didn't even realize that. Like my candle, my Serbian, like our family stuff back here. But no, I've like, you know, for people who always say, you know, what are you doing wrestling for Serbia? Like, well, you live in America. America gave you everything. Like, yeah, of course, I'm very proud to be an American as well. I mean, that was where I'm from here, you know? And you got to remember a couple things. First of all, I made the decision to do this when I was 19 years old, turning 20 after my junior like world team when I got bronze. So do I know that I'm going to be the best guy or not the best guy in 10 years from that point? No. Or 5 to 6 years from that point? No. I'm doing this before. I'm a junior level athlete still, like becoming a senior level. No idea for that. I love the idea for me was, hey, you're Serbian. You can wrestle for us. You can go to every European championships. I was like, I want to do that. I want to wrestle at every European championships. You can go to the world championships and wrestle the best guys. I was like, I want to do that in freestyle. You can travel. That was awesome. That's what I was thinking about when I was that age. Not about the factor of like, do you think that I'm going to be able to beat Gilman in 7 years from now? Do you think you're going to be able to have to go through the gauntlet? I'm not thinking about that. Like, this is about me doing what I want to do for myself as an athlete. And you see other athletes for so many other countries that have dual citizenships living in one place and competing for their national team for another place. And it's not just me. And I am actually Serbian. Like my whole my father's side of the family is 100%. My grandparents immigrated from Yugoslavia in the late 50s for here. And I have a lot of family that lives here in the Chicago area. And I have a lot that live back in Serbia near Belgrade, in Bosna. I have family, you know, all over there. So it's not like I'm also like, you know, you see how many Russian guys are change over. It doesn't matter to them that where they're from, that they're, you know, they're Russian and they're, I'll go wrestle for, you know, Germany, or I'll go wrestle for Italy, or I'll go wrestle for wherever, and they're not of that country. Like, I actually have heritage there. So I really don't understand the problem when it just comes to an individual trying to express what they love to do, you know? So at the end of the day, I mean, it's pretty simple. I think it's a pretty simple situation.
Well, it's crazy,
you know,
because when you decided to go to Serbia, and probably when Seabass decided to go to Puerto Rico, people would have thought, man, these guys won't make the team. But here they are, 1 and 2 in the world, and it seems like it's worked out really well.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely has. And at the end of the day, I mean, it would be cool to represent the U.S. and go and be the guy for the U.S. too. Looking at it as I am now, like being the world champ, I'm just thinking like, yeah, that'd be cool. But I mean, U.S. is so dominant right now, anyways. Like, they didn't need my points this year to win the title. But not saying it like that. I definitely am just. I'm really happy for the situation that I'm in, and I mean, I wouldn't change it going back again either because, being a Serbian and being, being Orthodox Christian, being a Serbian, being of like that, and it being such my heritage being so strongly rooted here in the U.S. Like I've done things growing up as a kid that I like didn't realize were like not normal. I thought like everybody had like Christmas in January 7th, and I went to school. I was like, yeah, I have Christmas today, and they're like, I can't go to school. I'm like, school's not like canceled or something like that. They're like, why is the break not going? They're like, no, like we have Christmas the 25th. So like I would celebrate it from my mom's side, that, and then I'd have like 2 Christmases, and I thought I was like this boss that got like
awesome.
2 Christmases and thought that was like normal for people. You know what I mean? So it wasn't. We had our Saints Day. You have like we have our traditions. We go to church every Sunday, like, and because church is a big thing for us here. Is your culture. You identify through the church because that's kind of how the community can get together. So that's very very strongly connected for me in my youth and growing up. So
yeah. Okay, as far as training, Tyler tells me you train at Galaxy RTC.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
I'll explain. My situation was kind of unique to where I had my father's always been kind of my main coach, somebody that I work my technique with, that I work my tactics, someone that I'm always talking to, and we're always focusing on how I'm changing and evolving as a wrestler together ever since I was younger. And it was sort of that thing where I loved being at Michigan, and Michigan helped me reach what I could reach. And the thing that got tough was when I was juggling college and freestyle, and then having my dad away from me. It kind of felt were something that working with my dad and then him not being there to kind of like how I felt that I was working the best sometimes. I just felt that it took me a couple steps to improve sometimes, where like I would be doing the right thing a lot of times, and then I would either get off track of it, and I just felt that it took a lot more effort for me to just make the steps that I needed to do. And a lot of times when I would go home, the Chicago area has like there's so many like immigrants from other places, where I have a lot of like Russians and guys from Kazakhstan and guys that are just in the Chicago area that you would never be like, oh, here's Rustam Ampar is just like driving his truck, and we started wrestling, and I was like, he won the Urigan, he was on the Russian national team, yeah. And it's just like, you got this dude who was like battling it out like 1-1 against Rashidov for a spot like 2 years ago. He's just like, yeah, I'm here now in the U.S. living here. So it was like my training situation ended up getting really good whenever I would come home. So I ended up deciding after Michigan, was like, hey, I graduated, I did it for the team, I love everybody there. I kind of want to go back home right now and start working out and kind of like reset myself a little bit. Uh-huh. And so I did that, and we were able to kind of like, build a team around me to where I was able to get the workouts that I needed that really were like self-molded for myself, and have like, top tier training partners to do it, where as it worked out to where I set it up. Obviously it wasn't as convenient as, hey, of driving 5 minutes to go to Bana and I'd have a full college team, but I felt that the workouts that I was getting in on a daily basis were very high quality and kind of tailored for me, that I was we were building our own practice, we were assessing things and making gains like that. So that's kind of what happened, was how I got moved back. And then what we decided to do after I won my bronze medal was set up and create kind of like an international wrestling club. We named it Chicago Galaxy, me and my father. And it was basically a way that maybe in the future we want to keep building on and expanding, where we have athletes come in and this funding can grow. But it's something for me as of now to where, hey, we're able to, travel with Serbia. We're able to bring athletes that want to come and train. We can kind of have a camp thing where we work together with other regional training centers. Like we've worked together with Minnesota's RTC, with Troy Steiner's brought some guys down for us. We've worked with Angel Escobedo's from my area. So I've worked with him as well. We had different athletes come over. We have had like some guys from Azerbaijan, Glazar Tilov. He's a world bronze medalist. come in. We've had, Sabalov is actually Heti, who competes with me for Serbia. He actually is like, we've kind of worked a deal to where he's like technically a Chicago Galaxy athlete too, and he's going to come out probably twice this year before the Olympic Games to prepare, because he really enjoyed our training that we were able to get more partners. We kind of set up camps in different weeks to train. Like maybe Illinois will come week. We're probably going to have something with Cliff Keen where we either go to Cliff Keen or they come into us where we train. And for the most part, which we train out of the Beat the Streets Chicago room, which is like a state-of-the-art facility in Chicago. And or also our my childhood kids club, Region Wrestling, they just built a brand new facility. It's actually very impressive. So we're actually able to commute and travel with some of these guys that we have. So it's a little bit, maybe it seems a little basement right now, but we're growing and growing, and it's really kind of we'll build it as it kind of comes. And I mean, with my results this year as well, I think that's gonna definitely help, and with Heti getting a bronze medal as well.
Yeah.
And, one thing too that Stevan was really excited about when he first told me about it is that it's the first RTC that's not connected to a college, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And which is kind of cool. It's no, I feel like that's cool because, I mean, obviously in an ideal situation, you don't want to be reliant on like schools to be focused. Yeah, because the way it is right now, a lot of clubs exist to serve the college team, and so this is kind of the first one that doesn't exist to do that. So I think it's kind of cool if more of that happens in the United States. I think it'd be good for freestyle wrestling too. Yeah,
and it seems like great opportunities, like you said, to do some training with international people and
we're actually having the Ukrainian women's team come out to Chicago Galaxy at the end of October. So we'll be hosting them for a couple weeks, which is pretty cool. We have like a good team of people around us that are like part of our club, like Matt Gentry. He actually lives in he coaches for the University of Chicago team, and he's also our assistant coach as well. So like he's able to put in some context. We have some other some guys that are from Russia that live in Chicago now, like Rasul Boziev, and he has tons of connections that he's able to kind of tie in and like help bring people over and help like just at least come out for a couple weeks before they go back and get some training in. And Mohamed Chatayev as well. He's from the same area as Musukaev, that both of them are. He was actually Musukaev's sparring partner for the Tokyo Olympic Games, and he moved out here, and they have a kids club nearby. So like having a good amount of guys that know what it takes at the senior level and have those connections as well helps that to facilitate that. It's not just like some like hodgepodge, like want to get together and stuff like that. Like it's very high level, and the partners and the people that we want to get together is pretty high level as well. And without the folks out thing, I mean, that's kind of what we wanted to aim for. I know that the main there's obviously some things like universities always have bodies. That's one of the biggest things. But if we're working together with other RTCs, it's not really like a direct. It's more of like, hey, we just want to get better. In Dagestan and Ossetia, they don't really care who they'll train with each other and then be in the world finals the next month. So I don't really care about that. It's about improving, getting better, and growing the sport of wrestling, of freestyle wrestling. So that's what we really want to do.
And this wasn't on my notes of things to talk about, but you brought up Musukaev. How about old boy got a gas tank?
Oh my god,
the dude could always wrestle, but
dude, I wish I sent in the clip
good.
to Amanda, because there's footage of Stevan and Musukaev wrestling with each other. When Stevan was 17 and Musukaev was like 19 or
20. Yeah, I think he was 20.
Stevan went over there for a camp.
I was in Dagestan for my first like trip away from home. I went with like the development. Me and Pico were like the only cadet levels that went. Jimmy Kennedy was on there. I think like Kilgore was on there. A few different guys, but me and Pico were like babies in Dagestan, and we were in I think it was Kostevert gym. Musukaev happened to be training in there for that like a couple weeks for this camp, and he had just won junior silver, I think. But we were wrestling for like a 15-minute go, and it was just crazy to see like 10 years from that point, we both win our first world gold medals. It's just like, I think that's a pretty cool thing just to see,
awesome. Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, any sport, any industry, there's rumors, right? Good, bad, correct, way off. There's all these rumors, right, about it's in the world. We're in Serbia. these guys don't have to make weight, or they're taking them to a separate place. I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard, right? So I just want to give you the floor to address these.
Before, even like, so the thing is that's crazy about me making weight and stuff like that is, first of all, like, I've been doing it for like 5 years at 57, and I don't really know the difference of like how I guess the main thing would be is I've been doing it for 5 years. Just because it's in Serbia and I was able to win my medal, my situation changed like drastically I felt like in my wrestling and how I want to feel, like how I want to be as a wrestler. So that is like the first thing, is just like I don't understand that. I've been doing it just because I went up to 140, 141, and then when Serbia had me wrestle at 65, I was kind of upset that I had to go that weight, because I walk around at that weight, like, just I don't have to cut. I just weigh in. I eat and go weigh in. So it was kind of like, I guess people are like, oh, well, he's coming from like 65. Well, I would probably just be doing 61 all the time if I could, and then come down to 57. It's just like a few times I had to go 65. One was I tried it out. The other one, Serbia wanted me to do it instead of 61, and I was like, okay, whatever. I don't understand really that situation. I mean, I am a big 57, and it takes a toll on my body. It's not something that's fun to like for me to do. And I mean, I had to go and cut weight. I was cutting weight there at the tournament. I was running. I was working out. I was the first one in there working out. I had to lose like 5.5 pounds before the morning of the competition. So I had to get to the arena right away when I was working out and running. So it's just like, it's something that is like a tough thing for me to do, but I know how to do it in a short amount of time and make it manageable. And I think the thing that people don't realize is like how skinny I am, especially from the waist. My legs are just so skinny, and I'm a very tall person. So like me and Tyler were talking about it, it's like they have these clips of me from this point where I just have a very thick neck, and then so from here to like this point, people are like, what the heck? Like, who is this guy? Like, how is he at 57 kilograms? And I look like I'm taller than someone who's like an Uguev, who's like a 5'2" or 5'3" height of guy. And then it's like, well, you look at me next to like an Abakarov, who's like built like a tree stump. His legs are like this thick. His arms and waist are just really thick. And I'm just like, I just have that like tall, skinny body,
Stevan,
where
Stevan has like, if you see him in person, he has a very tiny waist and like stick legs.
And almost like a long torso. At least in the singlet, it looks long.
But if you see all like the videos, like interviews are all like
waist up,
right? Or even the photos, like when people are posting results, you just see Stefan's. He has a huge neck, so he doesn't look like he could make 57. But if you look at his whole body, we kind of roast him.
I have like my chest is like I have like one of those like. It's a little concave, and I have rib flare, so my ribs flare out, right? So like I can't, like when I flex or whatever, my ribs don't, like I don't go down like this, they come out. So when I breathe out, it just, my ribs like push my singlet out and makes me look way wider. I'm just like hollow though, so it's really frustrating. Like I used to be super insecure about like my chest and everything when I was younger, but in my ribs, because like literally I'll be in a singlet and my like if you turn, like I bend down, my ribs like will like they come out like this, so it like makes me look like I'm wider.
Sure. So just to, did you make 57 kilos at the World Championships this year?
Yes, I did. Every day. Every day it was on weight, and I was feeling it, especially the first day. Second day, when you were in the World Finals, it feels a lot better making weight. But first day, I felt it pretty much. I was a little nervous actually that my first match. I just wanted to get and wrestle my first match because I wanted to just get myself going, because I knew I was like, that feeling of like, hey, when your legs are a little bit tired, your legs are cramping up and you need to get that water in you. But yeah, I made it. It was, like I said it every time, it's doable. It's not very fun to do. But when you prepare the right way, and the way I water load, and the way that I drink my water, I try to drink like a gallon and a half to a couple of days before, and then that last day I kind of cut to where it's like only a half a gallon a day. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, like I get a little bit of a workout in that day, and then that night I did a wrestling workout, and then the next morning I just wake up and just plastics like sweats, and just takes about an hour and a half, hour 15, where I run, bike, jog, and it's just like my water just starts like flushing out.
I remember.
I would say the last 30 minutes of that is like the not fun part, where it's like stand up, you start getting like lightheaded. You start, for me, that's like the hard part where my back starts to hurt me, and I'm like, Mom, my organs.
Yeah.
But once that's done, it's not bad. And the second day is not bad. Just my legs are just hurting. So we were pretty ready and rested up for that second day in finals after the match. It was just like, I really had to just, it was all mental for me this tournament, I think. I mean, my technique felt the best it has, but I don't think my mind and my body have been in sync to where I didn't have to think about that other stuff. I just made the decision, for the first time.
Yeah. And it looks like, Amanda, if you want to pull that video over that's playing, I think we've dug up, I think Tyler did it, the video of you and Musukaev training. Is this the one you were talking about a few years ago or several years ago?
Yeah.
Can you see this, Stevan?
I can't see it, no.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
you guys can see it over there. Great. It's a good video.
It's
Enjoy.
Stefan's got Musukaev's leg up in the air right now.
So Stevan in the gray shirt, Musukaev in the red singlet. So cool. Well, this might make it tricky if you can't see that, but I want to kind of go through. Okay? So this would make it tough. I wanted to watch your quarters, semis, and finals. We kind of got some cut down versions.
I had a really quick on the weight thing. I remember being really surprised when you told me how heavy you go to bed. I think you said like 132. You'll go to sleep at the day before wedding.
I try to go to bed at like 131. I try to go to bed at like 131 and a half or so, and then I'd see if I can flow. If I can flow like a pound that night, I'm like, oh my gosh, this was great. So I try to where I'm under 131 doing my workout. So I was like, it was like 5.5, 5.4. I don't know, to get it down.
And then
so
the other question,
yeah,
like what, because you said you mentioned your ultimate decision, like, all right, fine, I will go 57 for Worlds last year. It was after a Bulgarian camp. You said your weight was just kind of naturally floating off. Like, what was your weight? Like when you were stepping on the scale, we were like, all right, well, I guess if I'm already weighing this much, I might as well.
I was weighing like 38, like 37 after my trainings, and it was like, I'm too close to like 134 or whatever it is to be like, this is a little bit close right now for being a month and a half out after my workouts. I mean, those camps, you just are eating so lean and you're working out, like you don't get that appetite. You like, oh, you're to training, up, gonna go eat, and it's like chicken, rice, like super lean foods year in, year out, vegetables and stuff, and it was just like, I couldn't believe how my weight was like that, I think it was just because I was trying to just, I was trying to take protein, take, creatine, take like a bunch of stuff to try to keep my body like bigger, but it was like I was like inflating myself to be bigger for 141. And then when I just like wasn't doing that anymore, my body had kind of like naturally like just dipped a little bit to where, that makes sense. It just sort of was like, oh, this is what my body's used to being. So that's what happened. So that was kind of like how it is. And then, yeah, the water load thing is like, I've kind of got it down to where I've done it. I've done more before, like the cut, but it's not sustainable. I have to do it to where I'm around like 5.5 pounds a night, and lose like five in the morning. That's the spot, and I can do it. So it's like 2.5 kilos maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So 5 pounds, about 2.5 kilos, I think. Okay. So my question. We get to the 2023 Worlds, draws come out, brackets come out, right? And if anything was rigged, they didn't rig the brackets in your favor.
That's true.
What did you like? Everybody says one match at a time, but we know when brackets come out, from the time you're a little kid, I would assume, to the time you're an Olympian and all that, you're going to look ahead and be like, all right, if I beat this guy, I got that guy. If I beat that guy, this is who I'm probably going to have to wrestle to win. Yeah. Right? We all do that. I assume you did that. What did you think when you saw, okay, Oguyev, okay, Abakarov, and Higuchi? Quarters, semis, finals. This is the hardest.
We were laughing. Me and Tyler were laughing too, because like afterwards, I was like, yeah, like really, like after seeing that draw, I was like, yeah, like, man, I like, what if I didn't make, like, if I like, I was like, Serbia didn't give me any, like, with like the bracket and stuff like that, like, how would people think that I'm like not making weight, and then give me that kind of a bracket at the like situation. What would be the point of that? Be like, if they gave me that, like they'd probably be like, hey, don't make weight for that draw. You know what I'm saying? that's a tough draw. I was, how do I put this? I would say I was a little bit, at first I saw it, I was like, damn, like this is tough. This is going to be hard. I'm sure when my dad saw it and everybody else saw it, they were like, dude, this is crazy. But I had been all summer really been, focusing on just getting the main guys that I have yet to edge. I've always been there, falling short. It's like, what could I do to be what could I do to edge that? And I spent a lot of mental time like preparing in my head, like, hey, I did a lot of visualizing, just trying to focus on getting my hand raised, winning in those situations. You know what I mean? And I like just my backyard over the summer, I try to do a lot of visualizing, just like I'm gonna beat the three of those guys, and like everyone, like those main guys in my bracket.
So on the screen,
I literally texted this in I can see now on the screen.
Perfect.
I texted this to my lifting coach. I said I want Russia, Albania, Japan, and Gilman in the finals. This was before Gilman didn't make the team.
This is in May. So
I ended up wrestling in that order. I wrestled those three guys and won against them. So I was say the least, I was ready for it.
What the crap?
And what really got me going? What was that, Bader? I'm sorry.
No, I said what the crap.
So Stevan's strength coach posted that on Instagram. I just screenshotted it and sent it.
Amazing.
To pull up.
Like he called it.
You can look at the timestamp. It says May 17th, which is kind of crazy. It was in that order that, and then Gilman obviously wasn't the rep this year, but Russia was Uguyev, who he had in the quarters, Albania, Bakarov in the semis, and then Japan in the finals. Stevan sent that text in May. So I think that's kind of nuts.
Extremely nuts. Wow, good on you, man. Hey, I want to kind of just go through. We actually want to start with the quarterfinals, if we can. That would be the match against Uguyev. And this is like, we took away some of the fats about a 5-minute video. So if you want to kind of just talk us through what you're seeing, what you remember, what you're
this
thinking.
First period, my legs were really shaky. I had just gotten off the mat with Abdullayev from Uzbekistan, who's a very good wrestler. And it was one of those matches where I started pretty strong, and I started just trying to, like, he kind of can throw the kitchen sink at you. He was beating Uguyev at the Olympics, with 10 seconds left. Uguyev inside tripped him to win. So this guy was a threat. So I was kind of like, he started kind of getting a little bit crazy on me, and my legs started, I felt from the weight cut, I started kind of getting that long burn so I just felt this first period, I was really reacting to him hard. That takedown he got. And then later in the match, I think, we get to where I get in this wizard position a couple times, and I just didn't clear out of the ties. Like I think I ended up tipping him for 2, but I just was like, I don't know why. I'm like, I thought about it in my head. I was like, why did I not just like circle back front, like right here? I think I ended up getting 2 points for this, and then I just kind of sat there because I was trying to just catch my breath, catch my legs. This is where I started feeling that weight cut in me a little bit, and just that short amount of time from wrestling. Like I wrestled Abdullayev, and 20 minutes later, I had to wrestle Uguyev in the quarter. So it was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, and
what I mean? So this was kind of that was the part of the match where I was just like, that was probably the most that I thought in the whole tournament was that first period in my wrestling,
So I was at Worlds with Kozak, and Kozak's like the international guy, you know, and he said, Stevan's round of 16 guy, round of 16 guy, which was the match before Uguyev. He's like, this guy's no joke. What's it, Abdullayev?
Abdullayev, yes. He's very good.
He was basically like, this is the litmus test to see how good Stevan is going to be at this Worlds.
Yeah.
And then you ended up dominating that guy, I think.
Yeah, it was 5-0. He got a takedown. Kind of something like I started shutting down a little bit. Like I said, that was my first match. I teched my guy quick. So that match was kind of the match where I was like, let's see how I feel moving at the weight, like for a full match and closing. So I started really well, and that's when I started kind of feeling that legs a little bit and the lungs a little bit. But we have been training for it and preparing to have that feel, and end of the day, like, yeah, I gave him a takedown, and then I think he was coming at me. I sealed the deal. It was ended up being 7-2. I controlled him.
But after that match, you refueled up with some Chevops, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So what?
Yeah.
Tell that story.
So we get off the mat. We get some ice for my legs and my arms because I started feeling the lactic acid buildup. I was like, I look at the score. I see match, Mia Guyan. So I'm like, oh, we're fourth. They got the clock running and the matches are going already. Like I'm like, well, that was the first one. I was a little bit in shock because I was like, dude, I don't want to wrestle Uguev feeling like this. You know, this is the match that I've been preparing for to have a big match for. I don't want to feel him wrestling like garbage. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm burned. I know I have to put some sugars in me because the way I'm feeling. I need to eat some kind of carb or something that can hold me in 20 minutes. That's my saving grace. And Dejan just goes, my Serbian trainer, runs to this training room and brings out these Serbian sausages called cevapi, and they're like the greasiest thing ever, and they're very strong smelling with like onions and like this like sauce. Like, I don't know, I almost threw up on the spot. I smell it and I'm just like, get that away from me right now, get that away from me right now. So I ended up like, yeah, didn't eat that at all. I think I ended up getting some type of like Cliff Bar that I just had to like drink with water down because I couldn't stomach anything else. And I was able to kind of get through me at this point right here in the match, going into the second.
7-2.
Yeah, I think it was 7-2, right?
You're losing.
Yeah, I was losing 7-2. I knew I had to change up my game plan a little bit because I was getting him to react from my right hand. I wasn't getting him to react with my right hand collar tying and clubbing him. He was staying up, so I started really using my snaps off my left hand, which I've been working a lot on. It's just I was able to kind of, create some action on him there. And I knew with Uguev, it was kind of the type that was like, if I can get him moving and get to his legs, I know I can finish him. Because he just usually holds such strong position here to where if I don't get in, that's usually how he beats you, is you just have a hard time getting in. And I just felt that I could get in on him to where and score. Yeah, and then in the second period, I was just like, hey, I can't think about my first period. I'm just going to let it go. And what ended up happening was once I started getting him to react, my mind, it just kind of like my body just took over. I didn't have to think about it. I made the right adjustment. There was no thinking anymore. It was just like, let it fly, let it fly, let it fly. I just started swinging, and we had spent tons of time to work on my offense in short time situations beforehand. I actually had Renario Ortega from Cuba with me training for 3 weeks prior, the guy that I beat from Cuba in the bronze medal match last year. So he was out training with me every day. I felt like we were in a medal match situation in matches along with my other partners as well. So I was prepared for these tough situations, to be honest with you. It just felt my body was my preparation was ready for this, regardless of how I felt.
Yeah. Like, we're at 45 seconds left. You're down by 3. You're probably not even thinking, right? You're just kind of reacting.
Yeah. I mean, this seatbelt position was nice because that's something I wanted to get to more. I just hadn't found the opportunity to yet. So I knew once I got there, I was like, I'm going to score this one. So I did. And then, honestly, this last takedown that I ended up scoring, so that was the one I was like, oh, that was a nice takedown. This last one, though, I just came out I just started snapping, getting him to react. I'm just going to eventually find something to go for. And I was actually talking to Miles Amin about this because Miles literally is the king of getting last-second clutch takedowns in matches and winning like this. And I almost kind of took a Miles Amin type shot on him, but moved him with my left hand, kind of went in for the crossbody double leg and ended up catching, split in the middle and cutting back to a single leg. So, I have no idea how I pulled that last one out. I was in awe when I did this, and I was just so ecstatic. And once that happened, I was my confidence was there that I'm going to win the tournament. It was just one of those things. So
yeah, well, you say you were ecstatic. Old boy here might have been more excited.
Stevan hasn't seen this yet.
Yeah. So we're up in like the little press area where we got, and if you want to play this one, Amanda,
he is one of my best friends, so this is an extremely biased take. But Stevan Micic,
the Uguev match or the end of it.
So I don't know if we can get audio, but this is me watching his round of 16 match, saying I think he's about to beat Uguev next round.
And no offense, I was like,
can we get audio on this?
Oh my God!
Man, that makes me so
Oh my
happy,
gosh!
dude.
Oh! We got interview! Oh my gosh! Let's go!
So bummed.
And then
So
That
bummed.
is
I ripped the
awesome.
door handle off.
I was
Door handle
losing
just
it.
came off!
Door.
Stevan was like, he was losing 7-2.
That is so
Came
cool,
back in like the
man.
last minute. Do we go down? Do we go down?
So-
We gotta get an
So
interview.
he's,
with him.
you know, trying to
Guev
find the
also, one of those things too is like he hadn't lost in 5 years. You know, I was the first person that had beat him in 5 years, and I knew that like the way that he had kind of been wrestling was everyone kind of just tried to stand out in front of him, play really tactical games with him, and where he was just better at doing that than everybody else. He could get the one takedown, get a gut wrench, or just get a takedown. Get the passivity call and lock a match out 3-0, 3-1, and call it a day. I mean, he did it. He just beat Abakarov and Haratunian like a month or 2 months ago in the PWL league, and we were just like, I'm like, I know if what we're working on. I'm like, I'm gonna be the guy to beat him. Like I was telling that to Sabalov in our Serbian camp in Spain this year. I was like, I want him. I'm gonna beat him at Worlds if they come. Like I'm gonna be the guy to do it. I just kept telling them that, and so they were like ecstatic. They were going crazy too when after I ended up winning Worlds. We were talking about it because I was like, I told you I wanted Guev. I told you I wanted him.
You hit
I'm gonna do it.
The Heung-min Son celebration.
Yeah, I'm a big Tottenham Hotspur fan and a Heung-min Son fan, so I hit the little camera celebration at the end.
I was following
So-
Stevan after, and he was like, man, I wasn't even like, I didn't really want to celebrate on a Guev like that, but I just couldn't believe that I even did that. I just like, it overcame me.
Yeah, like I guess the style of doing it, you know, that
Yeah.
first period of just the way that I had kind of like felt, and it took me to get my second wind going. That's I think kind of put me in that situation because I think that like the way that I did wrestle him in the second period, I'm not saying that like it would have been any different. I'm not taking anything away from Muguyev, but I think that I could have changed my tactics a little sooner and been more reactive in that match, if that makes sense. Earlier in the first period, I just think like I just gave up 7 points that kind of felt like a blur of 7 points, you know, where it was like, how is he getting this? I just felt like I was hanging out for too long against him, where he's dangerous.
And big win, but it's like, all right, bro, I got another one tonight in the semis to even get a chance to wrestle for gold. You got Abakarov. Let's pull over this semifinal. We'll just let this one play out. And again, this is like a chopped down version, so.
Yeah, so Abakarov, this was kind of like my rival at the weight class. I felt like, especially after last year's World Championships, I felt that our semifinals was a pretty tight knit match. The way that the match went last year was very similar to this year's, where I ended up where I got to his leg. I gave him a takedown at the end of the first period, so I was down 2-1, or 3-1 because he had a passivity point. I had a passivity point. And I ended up getting to his leg with about a minute and a half left, and he ended up exposing and rolling me for 2. And then we threw the challenge in to try for it, and I lost it. So I ended up being down. I ended up losing the match 6-1. So the way that this match played out was almost very similar, but obviously, as you know, in the second period, he attacked me, and I exposed him and threw him for 4. So it's a very similar match. This Abakarov has very, 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 very strong legs and very good defense. I would say just solidly on the defense to where I just felt, you know, I would say Abakarov, the way that the feeling of Uguyev feels like a smaller person. Like he, you know, me and Abakarov, we're both 61 kilo guys that are making this cut down, where I could just feel that when we were wrestling in the semis, I could feel his weight, you know, in his legs and his hips. So I just felt the big change that I made in this match against him was the pressure, the discipline that I had from last year's changes for this year's. I did the right things to create the pressure. It just happened that he decided to take the shot in, and I felt his positioning where I had been able to just expose his back, and I went for the chest lock. And then I was just really proud of how I closed this period out. I know it's a 6-2 lead. It's really hard to blow that against kind of a guy who's a little more defensive, but I felt like I did the best job that I had done to really close off a match here when we had been working. And I just stayed grounded. I stayed disciplined with my hands. My head positioning was perfect. I didn't overreact to anything, and I stayed smart. So this match was, I also felt the most back to myself in this match of the tournament, and I think confidence wise, and my body had been like, okay, I've got some time. I had about like 2 hours from Musukaev. My wind was back in me, my legs were on me. I've got some food in my stomach, my water's going through me right. I felt like back to myself this match to where, when I went for a club or went for my hands, I felt good again. So this match was big for me just because, to get to revenge somebody that you lose to, the world champ the year before in the same in the semis again, getting that revenge again. That one just felt like a long time coming. Like I've been waiting for that match for a full year, I've been waiting for that rematch again. So that's how I would say with the Abakarov match really went. I don't know how you guys felt about that one or how Tyler felt about that one. Any input, Tyler, how you watching that one?
I mean, I remember watching it and just being pumped when you hit the chest lock. It's the Stevan, or I interviewed Miles after his match. He's like, man, Stevan pumped me up. I've never seen that guy hit a chest lock in my life.
We've been working a lot of just positional wrestling on my leg defense, and honestly, I think my leg defense is what won me the gold medal. Was because I gave up some takedowns, of course, but when it mattered, I was able to defend how I was supposed to in those situations. In that match, especially, where I decided I've been working on. Hey, I felt the positioning. I'm taking it. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't hesitate. And the same thing in the finals, but we'll get to that. So.
Yeah, just once you had a lead, it felt comfortable because that's a guy who, he's like shorter. He'll get you on go behinds, like short center of gravity, like.
Yeah. Where I didn't really. That's why I felt when he did decide to shoot, I was kind of applying the pressure. I went to front headlock him and he went. I felt that like the way that his body went in for me, it just his head went down and his butt was kind of up right away. So I kind of had to take the chance to go now, where he was square with me. And yeah, like I said, he's got super strong legs. Like when that position where I tried that little Batirov 2-on-1 slide by, I thought I was gonna get him, and it was like his leg was just like no, and just like I'm like, oh geez, I'm gonna feel this sucker if I'm trying to shoot on him later. So I'm like, I had to really create some action, and he just shot first. So
like trying to grab an oak tree or
something. When we were in Serbia, Stevan probably went on like a 5-minute monologue about how crazy strong that guy's legs were. He wouldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can watch him wrestle like some of the other tournaments. I mean, when you get on that high crotch leg, which I got to last year, he just can put pressure from like you getting on his leg and driving into you. Just feels, and like him being able to get his like foot like from like you having his foot like in the ground to like his shoelaces down and like pressing into you with his leg. And then if he's not, he can roll you. So he feels so strong and like comfortable when you grab his leg. Like, I mean. He's strong. He's strong there.
Yeah, and here we are, gold medal match against Rei Higuchi, defending world champ at 61 kilos.
I was nervous this match like before because you have to sit all day around. You make weight. Like by the time you like okay, you feel good getting the fluids in and eating around like 3 hours in, and after that you're just like, well, you think you can eat more. No, I didn't even want to touch any food. I was just like anxious, like excitedly nervous, where I just needed to like move around or do something. So we ended up going in there, me and my dad and Paul Petrov, my sparring partner. We ended up kind of working out some game plans and figuring out how I wanted to wrestle him. So that first go behind, we knew that I'm a lefty. So we knew that he has a really good system for his single and arm drag. So we knew like, hey, if he takes that single or the arm drag, like you got to try to reattack that. So the way that I had been able to go and the way I pulled back with my body, I was able to actually get that reattack right away on Higuchi. And with Higuchi is, I mean, I personally think that he would have won the way that he wrestles, his volume, the way that he attacks and can shoot. I think that he probably would have won the tournament without me in it that way. The way that he wrestled, the way that he's so aggressive, and also
right here,
just how dangerous he is in parterre. Summer long since I remember even in Spain when I was there, we practiced so much parterre defense for Higuchi specifically. Yeah, going down, like if I give up a takedown, we know what he's going to try to turn me with. He's going to try outside shelf in the leg, trap the gut, go up to a folded gut wrench. If he misses it, he can go thread the arm through. He's got one of the best systems in world wrestling, like any weight class. So we had to be ready for, hey, there's a chance he's probably going to take you down, but for how offensive he is, even if you can defend him some of the times, but you got to be ready on parterre. He's He's the real deal there. And he's a machine the way he doesn't stop. You know what I mean? And you think that, I would say this match, me and my dad were talking about it, and also Paul afterwards. This match I was probably the furthest off of my game plan than my other two matches. I think that had to do with the way that I didn't realize how dangerous he is. You think, oh, I've got his elbow here. Oh, I've got him in an inside tie. Or I've got something like this, and he can still release and drop low underneath you. And it was just like he could just disappear. And so that's how that felt.
I remember from me when I saw Higuchi on top and he got Stevan's legs together there, I was scared because Higuchi is pound for pound one of the best top parterre wrestlers in freestyle. So I thought it was a huge win that Stevan, even though he was losing on criteria at that point, didn't get turned. I thought that was huge.
Yeah, even right here, when he gets the single leg, those Japanese guys, they're really strong ankle biters, so they'll catch your ankle, lock it out. He did there. What I was ready for, like the defensive side, I guess like the thing was like the few attacks that he got, I felt like he got a little too clean. I didn't make him work enough on that single, and also that double leg that he hit. We were preparing for that double, and after I had won, my dad was like, we were all like excited and stuff, but like we're going to bed, like we couldn't really sleep. My dad just goes to me, he's like, that double, Stevan, like how'd you let that happen? We worked on it. I was like, yeah, come on, let's wait till tomorrow to talk about like, that position. But I think that my little crossbody, everyone knows my knee pull's coming, but me going across to that far ankle really helped me with my length at the weight class. Where guys kind of expected to move back the far ankle, especially Higuchi was a lefty. So that's kind of how I was able to catch the foot and then swing back into my single leg. But in my opinion, this was my favorite takedown of the whole tournament, was my leg defense here, because we had just been working so much on my positional wrestling. And to have such a strong offensive guy like Higuchi and the scramble and in my opinion, this was a world-class defensive. This is textbook of how I was able to really use my hips, fight the position, catch the ankle, use my hips, use my leg, get back properly, and then I kind of faked him out. I knew he was going to try to jump over me there, so I just kind of was able to hook it. I didn't go for the roll, and I got the takedown. So for me, that was my favorite takedown of the tournament. That and obviously the Uguev, one of the Uguev the
iced it.
The iced it was great, but for me, this one was because it showed that like what I needed to do, and then also defending this off. I knew in my head I was like, I'm not letting him score this. I just got to be smart. Like I could tell the ankle wizard, my strength that I had, he wasn't going to be able to get anything. I was in good position on him here. I want
to point something out that Stevan does right here. It looks Stevan gets his arm between them right there for like a second before they go out of bounds.
Stop sign.
And that's huge. I thought.
Yeah, I was able to do this.
Won the gold medal.
Even if there was some room to wrestle, he's trying to drag it out to where like it's pushing. So that's why my arm looks shorter than it is. But I mean, that's a position where if we're in the middle of the mat, he probably wouldn't have pushed it there, and I maybe have been able to feed my arm through. So he it was a 1-pointer, but they challenged for 2 and they lost it. So I mean, I would have won for 2. One wouldn't have won anything,
We slowed it down in the office yesterday, and we thought it wasn't even 1 actually. Like it looked like you guys were grounded the whole time. Yeah. So
probably was. I just didn't know because I came back up for a second and then went back down. That like maybe it was 1, but
in the heat of the moment, it's tough to maybe remember or know the details.
I just knew that like I was safe. I was just like praying. I was like, please.
It was because there's 4 seconds left on the clock. It's the most dramatic challenge there could possibly be. If it's 2, Stevan
decides the match.
Only has 4 seconds to score. So yeah.
There it is. What's this feel like?
I knew like with 4, it was like insane. I was like I couldn't believe it. Like it felt like I had to like soak it in. Like I had to tell myself like Stevan, like I just did it. Like remember, this isn't just some match. Like you just did. Like you are the best in the world right now. Like this is what you've been dreaming for your whole life. Soak it in. I can't just like the way that you're just prepared for it and everything like that, and the way that I visualize this moment, winning against these guys, getting my hand raised, being on the top of the podium, Serbian national anthem playing. Like I can't, it doesn't feel like this was the first time of it happening. But then when it happened, it was like, yo, this is the real thing. This is how it is. Like, and I knew I could do it too, so it wasn't like some surprise. It was just like I just did it kind of thing. And it was, I mean, yeah, amazing.
We got dinner and we were waiting for a taxi, and Stevan where some of us were talking about just like what we want to do in life, and Stevan was just sitting there. He's like, you know what's crazy is I just like achieved my life goal.
One of my life goals is to be a world champion, and just to like get that accomplished is just like, I never really thought about like after doing that. Like obviously now I've got the Olympic Games and I want to be an Olympic champion, but like what happens like when you do achieve that? Because it's about, to me, wrestling is the journey, and like it still is even after you do these things. It's about wanting to keep improving as a wrestler, because I don't want to be the same wrestler that I am this year, next year. I want to get better. I want to make the improvements I need to do. But it was just crazy thinking about that at the time. Like I'm a world champ now, and that's it. You know, there's no more like, oh, I'm striving to be one. I am one. I want to do it again, of course, but it's weird to say that when you set a goal to do it in your lifetime and it's taken you almost 20 years to accomplish it since you started the sport of wrestling, it's kind of hard to fathom.
And when we were in Montenegro last year, we were sitting down and Stevan, we were having a conversation about like what weight he wanted to go this year. And I was like, well, what's your priority, the Olympics? Or he looked at me, he's like, I just want to be a world champion. And I said, then go 61. Like it's easier for you to make the weight. It's going to be the year before the Olympics, so like a lot of the best guys are going to converge on the Olympic weights. And then he said, nah, I'm just going to do the hardest way. Not to take anything away from 61, but
no, without a doubt.
I mean, the Olympic weights are extremely stacked. I mean, 57 and 65 are two of the toughest and like most deep weights in the world. And I mean, to go out on top the way that I did was I think pretty stellar. And also just my head and heart had never been, I think that, like I said, been that aligned with my technique to where, my technique, I don't think I would have been able to do what I did with like if my technique wasn't better than it was last year, but also when faced with the adversity, when faced in these situations, when given an Olympic champion, two-time world champion, then a world champion from last year, a world champion the way above an Olympic silver medalist. I had to rise up still, because last year's Worlds was to me felt like, was nothing as challenging as this year's was. So, as in like what I had to go through, but my mind was right. And I remember, this is my last thing I'll say on it. Remember warming up and kind of feeling a little bit tired, like how am I, what am I going to do? Kind of like, as in, I'm trying to get myself ready, thinking about how you're feeling and stuff like that. And I just look around, I see Higuchi's warming up here, Haratunian's over there. You got everybody 57, Bakarov and Uguev are pacing back and forth, getting ready to wrestle. And I'm just thinking, like, in my head, I just forgot how I felt and was just like, this is what I live to do. Like, this is what I'm here for. I want to be in this battle, and I want to win the battle. Like, I'm in the trenches right now, and I'm going to go to war. And my mindset really for the tournament was, I don't care how I feel. I'm just going to come out of this like I gave it my everything, because I know that my body's is prepared to do what it's supposed to do, and I'm just not going to think about that. And no matter how I feel, like my main priority was like, screw my feelings. I'm just going to worry about fighting, and that was it. And I think that's what got through me, because especially like going from that, the main struggle for me was getting from that Abdullayev match and getting mentally prepared for how my body felt, then having to wrestle the favorite of the weight class. Yeah. Within 20 minutes to get myself amped from the weight cut and get myself back at it. That for me was my biggest thing in my mind, to where I had to just say, hey, like, I'm going to war today. This isn't about how I feel. This isn't about, I got to remember everything that I've done for this prior year, for this moment. I can't just be like a cop out because, I don't feel that good. My legs are a little bit, or like, my tummy hurts or something, like this is what I've trained for. This is it. So I took the moment.
Hell yeah. Well, you took the moment and you made the most of it. And the moments thereafter, which was one of the most impressive runs of the whole tournament, the gauntlet that you went through there. And
thank you.
Even around 16 quarters, semis, finals. So hats off to you, man. Super impressive and super proud of you. I want to change gears for one last little bit. I gave you a heads up, maybe not enough time, but the joke time. A little joke segment. Right. I want to see what you got.
All right, I got one. It's actually a funny one. Well, the joke's not that funny. It's kind of dumb. So why was 6 afraid of 7?
Because 7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9. Okay, I know that's dumb, but when I thought of that joke, it reminded me of something funny. One of my really good friends and teammates from Michigan, Kane and Store. We were. It was me, Kane. It was all like the senior guys that in Michigan the one year, and we went to this like. Michigan had us do this like promotional media thing on this big like for the record like some bits. So when we do dual meets, they play out like
little sound bites,
things like sound bites, video clips. They do like fun things for the fans.
Yeah.
Well, they had us come in there and do some really corny like quotes from movies, and they were making us do like, why is it so fluffy, and like all these weird things, and we're like let the freshmen do these. I was like, I'm 25 years old. I'm not about to be over here acting like a little kid, like doing SpongeBob, like, no, I don't know what you know, like just weird stuff like that. And the guy that was like, he didn't know who I was. He was like new to the media. He called me Stevan. So we just were like the whole time we're like, man, Stevan's in his 7th year at Michigan. We just were like, it's his 7th year. 7, 8, 9. That's all we kept saying the whole time. So we were just laughing at that, like while we have to do these like this corny bit, just because the guy called me. He's like, so your name's Stevan? So we're like, me and Kane were just like joking about it. We still like mess around with it because I was like literally like, oh yeah, I'm actually 27. So
Stevan and Cannon.
Yeah.
Stevan and Cannon. So
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, I mean, we probably keep going. We're actually probably overtime, but I think we're doing all right. But man, I appreciate you coming on. I don't know. You got anything else for your buddy here?
No. Congrats.
Hey, don't be so enthusiastic about it. I guess good job or something.
I mean, I already said. No, it's cool.
Tyler's done enough, and I'm thankful to have him as a friend, and I think he's doing a great job with you guys at Flow.
He's killing it.
Aw, thanks.
Super
man.
He
hyped
is. He's
that you
crushing
guys
it.
have him.
One thing that Stevan did that was like that really was touching to me was when after he won gold, like at UWW guys, as soon as you're done with your interview, they pull you in for photos.
Yeah.
And
Down the hallway in that little room?
down the hallway, yeah. And they pulled everyone in, and he pulled the Serbian coaches in, and then Sean and Josh came in too, like the Michigan coaches, and he's like, I want to do one with the Michigan coaches. And then, and I'm just like recording everything, and Stevan's like, and that means you too, Tyler. And so I like give the camera to Eric, and Stevan. It was like very touching to me that Stevan pulled me in to take the picture with them.
Heck yeah.
Right after he won. It
I
was
got to
pretty
get
cool.
those photos too. I think I'm waiting for. I think I'll have like somebody from UWW, probably Eric Olenowski, send them to me. But yeah, that was a cool moment. Like, not just to have like my dad in Serbia with me down there. It was awesome to have Coach Bormet, Coach Chirella, Coach KJ, like having everybody down there, all watching me win. And then, and then having also Tyler, who just, he's working for Flow. We were roommates, and he's wrestled with me at Michigan. Like,
Heck
I
yeah.
couldn't have like dreamt for a better thing. And then like Miles and Malik were there, the whole Mean family. I was so excited for their medal, for Miles' bronze as well. I mean, he wrestled really, really well. And it's his first world medal too, so I know that meant a lot to him. So it was just awesome having, like our team all there. It's just crazy to think how far we've came.
It's nice to have familiar faces in. Well, I guess it's actually not an unfamiliar place for you, Serbia, but just having that familiarity and that comfort level around you is pretty awesome. So I'm glad you got to celebrate with your dad, your coaches, and old
Thank you.
Teacup over here. Do you guys call him Teacup?
We used to call him. He went through this like weird YouTuber phase where he made a little bit of content, and I don't know. It didn't
He's
stick
funny
for
because
long,
he was
so.
in a lot of the videos. He used to love to be a part of them. So, dude, I should have sent producer Amanda the music videos we used to make.
Teacup production music videos. Those were good.
Well,
You've seen it. You've seen the video we made, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We like.
Hey, we're gonna have to do another one.
When we were bored, we used to take like British trap like songs, and we just like make high quality production music videos.
Malik Amin has this like Jeep Cherokee, so it just kind of looks like you're trapping in it. Like it had like the black rims, and
I was like flying the drone.
He like flew his
shots.
drone, and we're just
Awesome.
like out the window, like yo.
Yeah, breaking it down. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Stevan.
Stevan.
Thanks for joining us, and congrats. We're all super happy for it, but we're going to give you the final word to say anything you want to say about anything.
thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Huge fan of the show. And also, I'm just excited for Paris, for you guys to follow my journey this next year. I'm really looking forward to it. Coming off of this world gold, but also, Tokyo wasn't the tournament that I wanted to have. So I'm just extremely fired to just be the best version of myself in August of next year. So I cannot wait for that.
Awesome, man.
Really quickly, I know Stevan will appreciate me reminding him to do this. Talk about Paul Petrov real quick. Just give him a shout out.
Thank you. Yeah. So I got to thank you. I know I didn't really get to talk about like all my whole training situation, but Paul Petrov, he wrestled at Bucknell, a couple of time NCAA qualifier. He did really well for them. He only wrestled for 4 years, but we grew up together as kids. His father we're actually neighbors as well. His father was our head coach for Hanover Central, and we grew up wrestling together our whole lives. And we won state titles together. And then when he went to school, I went to school. And when he finished, he actually went and worked in Chicago. So I remember it was the summer before the Kazakhstan in 2019. I came home for a couple weeks, and me and Paul started training together. And he really helped me as kind of a sparring partner. I ended up bringing him to Kazakhstan, and kind of the rest is history. He kind of got back re-involved into wrestling again, and he's running my childhood club, Region Wrestling Academy, with Alex and Jason Surtsis. So he's a huge part of that. He's helping them tremendously, and not only that, he's with me working out twice a week, usually 3 times sometimes. Getting workouts in when we need him to, and he's there. He's been selfless for me, and I think it's been kind of awesome that we've been able to travel the world together. I wouldn't be where I am without him, and very thankful for him. He's the man.
Awesome. Glad you gave him the opportunity to give a shout out. And Stevan, congrats again. Thanks for joining us, man, and we're looking forward to your run out in Paris.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Enjoy the day.
Yeah. Have a great day. Thank you.
Of course. Peace.
All right. Peace, man. And that's going to do it. We got Tyler in the house. Maybe we'll get him back on more often. This was fun. But anything else?
I don't know if we want to wait for it. Amanda did ask me for the music video YouTube link. I sent it to her. We don't have to wait for it.
We'll put the link in the bottom of the video. I'll let this one play out. But thanks everybody. Be sure to check out their music video. We'll clip it in there. And
oh my gosh, she got it.
We'll roll it out. We'll end it on this. You guys can end it. We're gonna call out or sign off, but we'll let this video play out, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, y'all. We'll get some audio on that.
Back up, here, come closer. Vida loca. High as a cat, never sober.
Are we still live?
It looks like it.
Okay.